Hey guys, it's me. So we're back with another tutorial, and I know it's been a hot minute since I made the last tutorial, and I know it's been a while since I made that post talking about doing a tutorial, but today we're here now, and today I'm gonna be doing a tutorial on how I make some of my transitions and effects, like in the video that I posted where I was making a level with a Nong song. So the one thing about this is I mainly use the gradient trigger for most of my stuff, which that has quickly become my new favorite trigger to use. And if you want, I could show you right here, which in this level, which is the one I uploaded a video for, you can see, where is it at? Oh. So you can see, right here, you can see I'm mainly using the, just turn this off real quick. Here, there it is. So you can see right here, mainly using the gradient trigger for most of this stuff. And if we were to turn on that, yep. So you can see I mainly use the gradient trigger for a lot of the effects that I use in my levels. It's actually not that hard when you kind of learn how it works and all that. And I know there's already probably a million tutorials out there on how to use the gradient trigger and how to make cool effects with it, but today I'll be showing you how I use it. So if you want, we'll just go on and just create a whole new level. And I guess we'll start off with something simple right now. So for now, we're just gonna go on and grab a guide trigger right here. And we'll just kind of start off with using this. So, for starters, so for those who don't know how the gradient trigger works, I guess I could show you real quick. So we'll go to right here. So normally, sorry for the flashbang. So normally it just draws a gradient on the background. So like if we were just to set up two random colors here, you can see right here, it does that. And you know, if we rotate it, you can kind of see that's what it does. So let me just go and do this real quick. Just make the background black and line. So one other thing that you can do with the gradient trigger, if you head into the edit special, is there's this mode here, which from what I learned with this, I believe this just draws on like certain areas. So I never really learned what this does here. But the one thing I do know is that there is a vertex mode, and this right here is how it can draw certain effects. So what we can do for now is we'll just grab some random points. They don't have to be this object, but they could be something else. And what we can do here is we'll just start off by adding these to a new group. So we'll have this be 1, and we'll just have this be 2, and then we'll just copy these right here. We'll have this be 3, and we'll have this be 4. So the reason why I have them set up with this being 1, this being 2, this being 3, and this being 4 is because of how the gradient trigger draws its objects. So when you go to vertex mode, you'll see there's BL, BR, TL, and TR. And BL is bottom left, which we have set to 1. BR is bottom right, which is 2. TL is top left, which would be 3. And TR is top right, which would be 4. So once we do that, it's also important that you add this to a new ID, because that allows it to draw separate layers. Because if you have them all set to the same ID, or if you have set to none, then they'll all mix together. So once when we do that, you can see now we have it like this, and then we can set this to whatever color we want. So I'm just going to set this to white for what we're going to be doing. And there we go. Now we have that set. I'll just move the trigger to over here, and for east, I'll set this to 5, not that. And we'll just set a camera static trigger to lock to that right there. Set to 5, and the duration set to none. And when we go, here you go. Sorry for the flashback again. So now that we got that down, it's time we make it do some cool stuff. So for now, I'll just do a cool little opening effect. So what we'll do is we'll grab these two, and I'll just link them together because it'll just make it easier. And what we'll do is move these over, because the one cool thing about the gradient trigger is when you put the objects over each other, it looks basically invisible. So we'll move this over. So that's 6, 8. I believe it's 10 over will be how we'll do it. Yep. And I'll just add these to a new editor layer to make it easier to work with them. And if you've noticed, it looks like there's nothing here now. And that's how you can do some really cool effects. So what we'll do is we'll then now add these onto a new layer or new group. So this will be 6, and this will be 7. And now we'll add some move triggers. So we'll have 6, move X back -100 because we moved it over 10. We'll just have it maybe do 1.5 with sign in and out. And then we'll copy this, move it over to 7, have this go forward. And now when we go to play it, as you see now we have it do that. And if you want to, and then if you want, this is where we could do some really cool things. But this is also where we get a bit complicated, is we'll take all of these, and this is important, but then we'll copy, and then we're going to go in and build helper, which will add all this onto a new group right here. And now what we can do is I'm just going to shift this over for a bit just so I can add these onto a new layer. And basically what the build helper does is it just added it all onto a new layer, and also made it and also even changed the gradient as well. So if we go over to the new gradient that got added, as you see, it's all new here, even with a new ID. So now what we'll do is I'll go on and add these onto a new layer. So we'll add this onto T2, and we'll add this onto T3. And what we'll also do is we'll make this black. This. And now when we go to do it, as you see, now we got a cool little opening effect. And if you really want, we can mess around with the length. So we can just set this to 1. And if you want, what we can do is we can also set this to, let's do, I think exponential in will do good, but we'll shorten this down to about 0.6. And that's exponential out. We want it to be a bit closer. We'll do the same here. And now when we go in, okay, not exponential out. I think exponential in would work a bit better. Or we'll actually just shift this over like that. There you go. So that's basically how I can do some of the transitions. If we want, we could go in a bit more complex. So what we can do now is we'll just delete all of these. Boy, I didn't mean to delete the camera trigger. we'll just add in a new guide trigger, and this time we'll have it set to 1, and then we'll do the static for it. So we'll have it set to 1, then duration 0, and then, yep. So one other thing that you may have noticed is I put the stuff outside on the orange line. And that's because this orange line is the resolution for the current device on there. So I usually create on my phone, and my phone has a bit of a wider resolution because it's more of a widescreen phone. So this is more like out here. But I always like making it go out there. But the one important thing is anything inside of the green square will usually be seen by everyone. Just a little tip there for whenever you're doing stuff like this. That's why if we have a regular 16:9 resolution, I will kind of move this out about 2 or 3, just so that way the widescreen devices can also work on it. Or if you want, you could do an interesting thing where you can have a toggle for a widescreen mode, which can move it out. Or there is an interesting thing you could do with the UI trigger, but that's a bit more complicated, and I could probably get into that in a different tutorial. But for now, we're going to do a bit more of an advanced transition. This one will be more like I guess we could do a square zooming in transition. So if we're going to do that, what we'll want to do is measure out how tall and wide this is. So this is 11 blocks wide, so we'll delete 5 and 5, and now we got our middle here. And then now we're going to measure out this. There's probably a better way that I can measure it, but this is just what I usually do. So we'll just delete that and move. And we'll also delete this, and then we'll move this in. And now when we measure this out, it's 19. Luckily, it's an odd number. So we'll just do 9 and then 9 here. And now we got our spaces. So this is going to get a bit complicated because now we're going to be using more points to draw this. So what we'll do is we'll have one here, and we'll have one here, right in the middle. And then we'll take these, and then we'll copy. And you'll see why we're only drawing it like this in a minute. But for now, we'll move this out of the way. And then what we'll do is we'll now add these into their respective groups. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is just like what we did last time. So what we'll do is we'll now add down our gradient trigger right over here. And then now we'll number it as we did 2, 3, 4, 5. Add it onto a new ID. And because this is going to be a double layered one, we're going to do the same thing we did before with this being on T2. And now comes the interesting part, which what you could do is you could either just copy these 4 points, copy it down, renumber them, put in a new gradient trigger, or we could do the build helper like we did before, which normally the build helper would be right here, but I just have a geode mod that moves all the tools here, down here. It's a really cool mod that I would recommend getting. And another one that I would recommend getting if you do have geode is, I think it's called the build tool, but it's this button here, which basically whenever I hit the copy and paste, it'll just auto build helper. But I won't be using it because I want to make this at least as authentic and easy as possible. So what we'll do is we'll select this, and then we'll also select this, and then we'll go on and build helper. But before we do that, something that I am going to do, or actually no, we'll just do it like this, because I was going to add in the move trigger to move this down, but then that's going to get a bit repetitive, complicated. So we're just going to first get down these points. So we're going to copy paste this, build helper, which build helper saves a lot of time when doing stuff like this. Then we'll add this onto a new layer. And now we're just going to move this up just for organization. And what we're going to do next is we're now going to go on and select this again. We're going to do the same thing, but this time after we build helper, after we add it to our new layer, is we're going to move this over into here, and just to make this a bit easier, we're going to start off by moving these points up. And now we're going to be making these sides, because what we just did here is we made, if you notice how the points are, this would be the bottom part of the square going up. This would be the bottom part going down. This would be the top part going up. If you can see how the points are getting organized. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to move this up for organization. And then now we're going to do the same thing we did before. Copy, paste, build helper, new layer. We're going to go move this up. And then now what we're going to do is we're just going to move this over to here. So now we got the 4 sides of the square drawn. Now we're going to make all the layers, make all the groups. So we're going to start off by grabbing these 2. Add this into group 18. And then we're going to go grab this, add this into group 19. Add this into here. Make it to group 20, and finally this side, which would then be group 21. And now we're going to add in the moving. So we're going to go grab the move trigger, and now we're going to make this be 18. And as you see, 18 is this bottom part, so it's going to go up. And the one important thing about the square that I forgot to mention is, if we just simply make these move to the edges of here, it's going to be more of a rectangle. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to find out which one gets moved the farthest, and we're going to have to adjust the sides accordingly. So this will only be going up 6. So as you see, if we start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's going to be going 60. This will be going down 60. Side here will be going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're gonna have to make everything move 100, so that way it'll be more even. So since this is the gradient and since these are already on the edge, we luckily don't have to adjust these. We'll just have to make sure we set everything to move 100. Because even though this is gonna go out and it's gonna redraw on the other side, it's outside of the perspective of the zoom, so we don't have to worry about that. So what we'll do is have 18 move up 100. We'll have it be 1, and to make it look cool, we'll do sign in. Yep. And now we'll copy, move it up, go to our next layer, and then this is 19, which would be down 100. Now we'll go to our next layer, and then this is 20, which 20 will be X forward 100. Now we'll copy, go over to next layer, 21, and this will be negative 100. And so what we could do is we could just move this to over here. And now when we go to take a look, there you go. So now, if you want to make it look a bit cooler, we can now double layer this, and luckily, we could just use build helper to do all of the work for us. So normally, after we do the build helper, we would adjust everything to make sure it looks cool, or to make sure it's at least all even. So before we do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure to lock all of these, just so it'll make it easier when we go to select them, because you want to make sure everything's on its own separate layer, otherwise it'll be hard to like adjust and optimize stuff later on. So now that we've locked everything, we can just go on and select it all like this. Yep, make sure we got everything selected. We'll select our triggers, and now we'll go on and copy build helper, We'll just shift it over just to make it easier to select which is which. And then we'll just grab out the ones that are the farthest over. There we go. Now that's all on its separate layers. We can now select everything. Move it back over. And then what we can do now is we'll just put this on top. And since this is the new one we made, this one will be up on the upper area. So what we can do is we could just do what we did before. Select that, go up one, make it black. There we go. And since this is the upper one, we'll want this one to go first. So what we can do is we can just shift this over like that. And we'll just move this over one more. And now, there you go. Not very difficult. It's just all about putting down points. It's all about just putting down the points and then drawing it. Once when you get into the groove of it, you can start doing more advanced. And basically what I've done in my level is, if anyone remembers my reveal tutorial that I made a while ago, you'll notice this is pretty similar to that. So, now that we got that, I guess we could do one more. And this one will be a bit more of a unique one. So, we could probably just do pretty much the opposite of what we did here. We'll have it zoom in. And this is the reason why I have this drawn on T3, because I usually save T4 if I'm going to add on anything to it. So we'll do a opposite thing real quick. By that I mean what we're going to do is we're going to move all of these and we're going to adjust. What we're going to do is we're going to adjust it. So we're going to have a square zooming in now for this. So all we got to do is just move. We're going to go over to starting off with the so we're going to start with adjusting the upper group. So what we're going to basically do is move this up 6 and then we're going to have this go down. We're just moving these real quick. I think you'll kind of see what I'm getting at right now is we're just moving all of these. We're going to have the square zoom in. But since we're going to be doing that, what we'll want to do is move the group up all the way up 100, like I said before. Wish I was better at explaining. So, just sure I got, there we go. So since this is up 6, we'll move this up 4 so that way it's 100. We'll do the same for the bottom one. Just make sure we select the ones that are in the actual moving group. And then we're going to do the same for this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. Same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. And we'll do the same thing we did here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. And the same here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. There we go. So now all we gotta do is go into our move stuff and we'll just set it to the opposite of what we had it all to. So we do that, this, and this. Make sure this is down 100. We'll do this and make sure it's up 100. So now when we go in, or actually before we do, we gotta make sure that the bottom one is going first. So we'll adjust it like that. There we go. I'm just gonna go adjust the easing real quick. So what we'll do is we'll set it to, I think sign out should work. Yeah. Or for this, I'm gonna set it to exponential out. Perfect. There we go. So now that we got that, the square zooming in, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in, and what we could do to make it look cool is we're gonna go add a square right here in the center, and we'll set it to T4 so that way it's on top of what we have right here. And I'll add this onto a new group, 42, for what we're going to be doing. And now comes the interesting part. So I'm just going to move this up here. So we're going to make sure that at the end of the bottom group going in, which will be right around here, just a little bit before, I'll add in a toggle trigger because that's what we're going to be using. Probably about right here, we're going to have the square toggle in. So we set the square into 42. Let me add it onto a new layer. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 42 toggle in right here. And I'll just add it onto here. 42. Activate group. And we'll just have it toggle off right at the beginning of the level. And let's just make sure we got this all set. Okay, so we need to adjust it a bit. Have it go over one. Alright. Right there. How about over one more? There we go. As you see, it's starting to look like... So see now, it looks like it zooms and then the square's there. Which is exactly what we wanted. Or let me just check one more. Okay, well, it does... There is a part of the BG that goes in. So we'll adjust that by moving this over one. Or just have it move over a couple. So that looks better. Okay, just wanted to make we want to make it look smooth. So now that we have that going, right at the end of the top layer moving, now we can have the square do some cool stuff. So let me think. If we wanted to do cool stuff, I guess what we could do is we'll have it do something kind of like in the video I uploaded where the square stretches out. Which, for that, we're going to have to change the square to a gradient. So what we'll do is, now that at least we know where we can have it start at, we're going to go on and draw in a new gradient. As like I said before, as you see, we're using the gradient trigger lock. Because I could use the scale trigger and just stretch it. But when you stretch the square beyond a certain point with the scale trigger, it would just start flickering. And I'd rather it look smooth. This is the gradient trigger uses way less object. Well, since it technically only uses 5 objects usually, but it's a bit more optimized and you can do a bit more interesting stuff with it. So what we'll do is we'll just delete the square and we'll just redraw using the gradient trigger, and we'll want to make sure to do a couple half steps with this. So like that, like that, like that, like that. And also, just for cleaning this up for now, we're going to go on and select all of our dots that we have here that we use to make the gradient. And we're just going to go into extras and hide, which you normally find this right in here, but I have a geode mod that adds in the button right there just to make it a bit easier to work with. So now that we got that, what we're going to do is we're going to do our usual, and we're going to have it 43, 44, 45, and 46. Oop. And we'll just go on and just copy this for now and add this onto the layer, and we'll just edit this in. So 43, 44, 45, 46. Add this onto a new layer and set it up to T4 so it's up above. And for now, we're just gonna hide this. And And now, we'll just put the gradient, we'll have it activate right where we had the toggle for the square at. So now, as you see, it looks like nothing really has changed. So for stretching it, we'll just do something like what we did before. We'll just have it go out all the way to here. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll just have this go out 10. We'll add this one to a new layer. It's group 47. This 48. And just make sure you get the sides right when you do this. So we'll have it go in right near the end of the upper layer. So right here, just to check, this is 47. So right here, 47, move X forward 100. We'll have to do it in, we'll see how exponential n looks. 7, and 48, this negative 100, and let's take a look. There we go. Exponential n, I'll just switch this over to sine n. I'll have it be a bit shorter. There we go. Just to make it look a bit more fluent, move it in right here. There we go. So as you see, not really too difficult doing this stuff. It's just a lot of groups. And now we're going to finish it off by having that part open up. So I'll try to explain this as good as I can. So what we're going to do is a little thing just to help with the optimizing. So what we're going to do is right at the end of when the top group moves right here, we're going to go in and disable the gradient because we're going to redraw a new one. So just set this to disabled. And we're going to do the same with the bottom layer. Right at the end of it, we're going to disable it. And it's going to look a bit weird for now, but we're going to redraw something right when this gets disabled. But yeah, it's going to look a bit weird, but what we're going to do is now we're going to go into a new layer. And since we're going to be having this open up, we're just going to go in and redraw basically those right there. Something kind of like what we did at the beginning of this. So just going to go in and set up our gradients. Just going to go set up our points here. And you'll notice this is a big group heavy, but since we now have infinite groups, or at least to me, since now we have infinite groups, it's not really that big of an issue. And plus, this is also a lot easier to work with. It's a lot easier to work with than in 2.1, where you normally have to set up all the squares to fill in with this, and it could get really object heavy. So now we're gonna go in and redraw them, but we're gonna redraw them right when they get disabled, right here, just to keep everything up. And these will be on the same layers that we had them before. So T2, and starting with 49, 50, 51, 52. There we go. Make sure it's on ID 10. Or on just thinking because of how we're gonna have this go. Oh no, we oh no, okay, we could go on with this. I was just thinking how we're gonna have this all go in. So let's just make sure to lock these. Make sure to lock this. Copy this. Copy. build helper, layer, that, move this up, and let me just move this up one just to make sure it's good. There we go. And now we're gonna go in and make sure to get the upper layers of this. Copy, new group, and then we're gonna build helper, and we're just gonna move this up here. And then we're just gonna do the same thing here. Just copy, build helper, move this up here, go to the layer, move this down. Then we're gonna set these up in T3. Alright. And it's gonna get a bit interesting here because these are gonna be the ones that are gonna be black. Alright. So now what we're gonna do, it's gonna look a bit weird for now, is we're going to right here. So we're gonna set these in a group. 65, 66. And we're gonna have these go up. Just make sure that make sure these are all up on the correct layer. So that's T3. This is T2. We're gonna have this draw right here. I believe that'll be good. Or actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this over here. Because this is right where we're gonna have it start doing its thing. So we're gonna just move this around, and for now I'm just gonna move these two off to the side. Yep, so we're just gonna have these move off to the side for now. Because right now, right as soon as this ends, so we have 65, which will go up the 6. Yep. And that's 65, and then the other one is 66. Yep. So I'm just going to copy this. As soon as it's done stretching, we're going to have 65, move up 60. We're just going to go on and delete this. And I guess we could have it do, we're going to see how exponential n looks now. 55, 66, which will go down to 60. Let's go take a look at what we got. There we go. Alright, so now that we got that, now what we're going to do is right at the end, which will be right here, we're going to disable this. And the reason why is because we're going to start getting into the other stuff that we have. So we're going to have it be as precise as we can. So we're going to have it move over a half step. Yep. And now what we can do is we can move these over. So this will be all the ones that we're disabling. Just to make sure we don't have anything up on the screen too much. Then we're gonna move this up. Move this over. And you'll see how this is about to look. So now when we go in. Oh, okay, what's going on there? It's 11. That's 13. Oh, I never moved it down. Okay. Okay. There we go. Okay, sorry. My bad. Alright, so now when we go to look. There. So as you see, it looks like nothing really has changed much. So now we can go into opening this. So now we're going to go in and just do what we did as always. Add these into a new group. 7, 68, 69, nice. And 70. There we go. So now we're going to have 67, move up 60. We're just going to go on from here. So, just go to here. Then make sure I move this over right here. 7, move Y up 60. And we're going to set this to exponential out. 7, 68. It's negative. Then we're going to have this be a nice number. Then this will be 70. Since these are the upper ones, these are going to be the ones that I'll move first. And here we go. Look at that. Looks good. Except for the fact that... Actually, before I do that, let me just spawn this. Okay. So... there is one thing that I need to check on. Okay. Oh, I still have these spawned. Okay, that was dumb on me. Here we go. And it ain't moving. Okay, this is going nice. Oh, it's because these are also spawned. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, so all that extra stuff aside, there we go. So, as one final little thing, let's just go in and clean up all of these dots. So what we'll do is we'll just do this. We'll do that. Select filter, go in. I do have on select filter, okay. Okay, well, I don't know why it ain't working, but... oh, it's because of... I think it's because I have that on. So... we'll just go in and hide all these dots, just to make sure it all looks nice. And... there! So there you go. So... I would say stuff like this, once we get it down... at that point, it just kind of goes into creativity. Not really creativity, but it's like, hey, so future me here, and I'm just going to go in and dub over what this goofy goober over here ends up blabbering about for a few minutes. And basically the point that he's trying to make is that the effects and most of the transitions that I make are basically just two simple transitions with a segue in between that makes it look really clean and sleek. Yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say. Anyways, I'll bring it back. I wish I could explain it better, but it all just comes into my head naturally. So what we'll do now is we'll just finish this up by disabling this just to make it all clean up in the end. And we'll just go on and delete these, but there we go. Yep. And from there on, you can go on and add on all the stuff that you want. I guess one final thing that we can do is I could show you some more stuff I have down in my level right here. So it's really like kind of like in here. If you see, we have the square go in, and then I just have that thing toggle in, and then it stretch out, and then that. It's kind of something like that. Whereas like once when you finish making it, if you want to kind of add on, like as you see with the square going in, we add it on by making a square and then have it stretch, and then it goes into another one. So if you want, you can think of it as like the square zooming in, and then the screen opening, and all we have to do is build the in-between point between the two. But that's basically how I make the transitions in that level, and also how I made the transition in my other levels. Just you think of a beginning and an end point, and then you just gotta figure out, and then not really figure out, but you just gotta build a in between to go in between to go into two. I wish I was better at explaining. It's kind of hard too because I just get the ideas in my head and I build them in, and I've never really had the time to really go in and really explain how I make them. But let's stay on this tutorial. I know it's probably a bit complicated, but also I know it's God, I can't speak. I know it might have been a bit more complicated than my other tutorials, especially with using the gradient trigger. And I know I didn't really do the best to explain, but I hope I got at least the basic ideas down, and see y'all in the next video.